coming to you on a Wednesday, an oh-so-close Victory Wednesday here on Mic'd Up. But we've got lots to get to today. We will talk about the Kansas City Royals and just how the injury bug has hit the Royals, maybe harder than what we realized. We will get to that. A little edition of Start, Bench, and Cut. We will talk about the Chiefs and their aggressiveness. Would you consider Andy Reid aggressive, Fulton?
In certain situations.
So the answer there is no.
Not heavily.
Okay. We're going to get into that coming up today. We continue with the summer of Fulton. Fulton is broadening his horizons, and he is now going to start flipping houses because he is an expert after watching a couple home improvement shows. That was part of the summer of Fulton. We will get to that. We'll talk some big changes for KSHSAA coming up. That's going to be a lot of fun. It is the Shawnee County Sports Banquet this evening, and we're going to talk with our final two Shawnee County Hall of Famers. That is going to be Crystal Kemp coming up at the bottom of the hour, and then he says he's going to come in studio. We're going to talk with Rick Peterson of TopSports.news. So we've got all of that coming up here for this edition of Mic'd Up. As always, let us know your thoughts. Hit us up on our text line, 785-272-9429. Also, check us out on YouTube. Go to youtube.com. You can search Sports on 580. That's Sports on 580. So simple, so easy. Hit us up in the comments section. You can go to our website, 580wibw.com, 580wibw.com. So a lot to get to on this edition of Mic'd Up. Good and bad yesterday. Good, Brady Singer.
He looked good.
He looked very good. Not a lot of hard contact. Got a lot of help with the double play.
Mm-hmm.
3 of those. But when you look at it, those double plays, ground ball double plays, like that's not like, oh, diving play in center field, base runner thought you weren't going to get there, so you make a great play. No, this was a ground ball to Bobby, flip it to Nicky. Nicky throws it over to Nick. Nicky to Nick, if you will. That's just good pitching. That's using your defense. Not a lot of hard contact. No runs. It was a very, very quick game. The Royals take the lead. I'm thinking, wow, this could actually happen. I
was waiting for it too, because you said on these airwaves, you said this week, the Royals will never win another 1-0 game ever again.
And I stand by that.
They nearly did it. I was really hoping. I was hoping.
But they didn't.
I know.
But they didn't.
The Royals scored their one run on maybe the drunkest play in baseball I've ever seen. I don't know what was that throw?
Ready for this? First baseman cannot throw.
Except it was a pitcher who threw. That was a tapper back to the pitcher.
He was on the right side and just zinged it.
Yeah.
I mean,
I will also just going to say this again.
Like,
don't let the fact that they airmailed that throw, letting the Royals score a run, distract you from the fact that, once again, the contact play was on at third with less than 2 outs, and Dairon Blanco on a competent play would have been out by a country mile.
Yes.
Ban the contact play, ban bunts in most situations. They're both not intelligent things. And notice I said with bunts, most situations, so no one get down my throat about this. There are good times to do it.
Yeah.
Which is most of the time it's not. Yeah. The contact play is never a good play. It is never a good play to just run as soon as bat touch ball, unless there's 2 outs. Then obviously go. But if there's less than an out, take a beat to see if you can make it. I'd rather Dairon get left at third with 2 down than get thrown out at the plate.
You want to know what that is? What happened there is
luck.
No. It was you got 17 in blackjack, right? You got a 10 and a 7, and the dealer showing a 10, right? And you got 10, you got 17, and you're like,
screw it,
I'm gonna hit it, and you hit it, and you get a 4.
That's true.
That's what happened. It was not smart, but it worked out, right? I'm with you on the contact play. So the Royals lose 2-1. Singer was really, really good. The bats were terrible, absolutely awful.
Yeah.
Told you they cannot hit first-time pitchers. That's
and I will
just
say
the
this,
way
though, that Gavin Williams kid's got some stuff.
I don't know, because every single time a young pitcher faces the Royals, he looks like prime Chris Sale. Okay?
I will say this about Gavin Williams, putting the Royals offense aside, just watching the ball come out of the hand, like just watching the pitch, that kid's got some stuff. There's a reason he was the number 12 prospect in baseball. I looked up some more. He was number 12 prospect in all of baseball this year.
In all of baseball? Yes. Okay. Yeah,
that kid's got some juice.
I'm not counting the game against the Royals, because every young he looked like Eric Skoglund would look like, Gavin Williams against the Royals. Okay.
Man, you remember when Skoglund like 7 shutout innings against somebody?
Detroit.
That was crazy.
And Miguel Cabrera looked at him and tipped his cap. And then Skoglund got popped for performance-enhancing drugs.
And we started learning why what happened.
Yeah. And then Scott Barlow blew it in the ninth. That
stinks.
That really, really did. So
that stinks.
The Royals lost 2-1.
Stupid Will Brennan.
All right. I'm probably going to anger some people here. I really don't care. I said yesterday on social media, on Twitter, I said, that game sucked. Thought you were going to win it, and then you blow it in the end. Singer was good, bats were bad, and Barlow, gave it up.
Yeah.
And someone goes, well, hey, at least it was a K-Stater that brought in the winning run.
That doesn't make me feel good. I don't get why that makes any of you feel good.
No, it
Straight
doesn't.
up. Why?
Well, it doesn't matter for you because you're KU. So
well,
you don't
I know.
count.
I'm a very different perspective
You don't count.
here.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you
That's
don't
fine.
count.
I'll step out of this debate.
I am not a KU nor a K-State fan.
He's a Washburn guy.
Do I want them to win? Yes. But no, my team is the Royals. I don't care that it's a K-State guy. I don't. I really don't. Will Brennan, great. I'm glad you're playing well up in the majors. This is kind of like when I had LaDainian Tomlinson as my fantasy football guy.
Yeah.
Where he's torching the Chiefs and they beat the Chiefs, but my fantasy football guy is doing well, so I'm happy. No, great. Will Brennan, fantastic. I hope you have a fantastic year for the Guardians. Good luck to you. That's awesome. No, it doesn't make me feel any better that he's from K-State. I don't care. My team lost. They blew the game in the ninth. Don't care.
As I always say, just because you like, I'm trying to think of a good immediate comparison to a certain level. Like, I'll put it this way in a college rank. Like, Ernest Duday. I love Ernest and hope he balls out for TCU. I hope when he plays KU, he has the worst games of his life. If KU loses to TCU because Ernest goes for like 25 and 18.
Hey, good for you.
No, I'm going to feel terrible.
Uday did it.
No, I'm going to I will Will Brennan. I will wish him success every other game he plays. It's nice to see K-State and KU guys play well. It is not. I want him to suck against my team. That's how this has always worked.
That's how it works. Same thing. Let's say it's a Washburn guy. That's different.
Let's say Corey Ballantyne started really playing well in playing against the Chiefs. You want him to get all the picks, all the tackles in the world. You don't want him to touch Patrick Mahomes. You want to get torched against the Chiefs. Yeah. And we love Corey.
Yeah. Same thing, Mike. I wish the Broncos a lot of success. You know how hard that is for me to say?
Very hard.
Hard for me to say.
Like, love Mike to death. Yeah. I hope his defenses get torched by the Chiefs every year. Nothing personal. It's just, it's the way it goes.
And he would understand it.
Yeah, he'd get it.
No, I don't care that I'm supposed to be. Well, silver lining is that a K-Stater.
No, that's not the silver lining. There's no silver lining. The Royals lost. Yeah. The silver lining is Brady Singer at 6 shutout innings. Yeah, there's my silver lining.
That's the what do you call it? A moral victory.
Moral victory. Aroldis Chapman looked great.
Yes,
and he's your most important trade piece. He's looked great.
Very good. That's positive. So no,
there's my silver linings.
Yeah, that's basically there for the Royals.
Yeah.
I do want to get to this. As I was watching the game yesterday and, talking, I just realized just how bad the Royals have gotten bit by the injury bug. And if there is a team that has no depth getting hit by the injury bug is a big, big deal for the Royals. And I've got the top 5 that I think are the most impactful injuries for this Royal team right now. And if these 5 guys didn't get hurt, I wonder what this year could have been. Because, and Denny Matthews, I remember Denny Matthews saying this all the time. He hates doing predictions before the season starts because he always answered them this way. So, well, how do you think the Royals are going to do? And he always would say, how bad are we going to be injured? And then I'll tell you. Because that is the biggest aspect of it. This team is not as good as the 14 and 15 team, but the 14 and 15 team had some phenomenal health, some crazy good health. They really just had kind of 2 guys the entire time that got hurt that meant anything. Alex Rios got hurt for a long time, broke his hand.
Yeah.
That big deal. You had Greg Holland got hurt in 2015.
Nah, that didn't help.
But you had so many other guys.
You had so much other bullpen depth that you could live with just moving Wade Davis into the closer role, and it worked.
Yes. Danny Duffy, same situation. Mm-hmm. So you got to have a lot of help when it comes to health. You got to be healthy. The biggest one for the Royals this year in the position that they have 0 depth is starting pitching. Daniel Lynch not being able to start in April was a huge deal. Mm-hmm. I mean, a big deal. Look at what Daniel Lynch has done just in 5 starts. That they've had a chance to win in 4 of his 5 starts. Mm-hmm. So the fact that Daniel Lynch, to me, that's number 1. And I think you'd agree with me that it is Daniel Lynch.
No,
it is no
Daniel
question.
Lynch not being ready to pitch opening day just was such a bummer, especially with how he's looked. Because in theory, what if he looks this good out of the gate? Then we'd have nearly 3 months of this kind of stuff on Daniel Lynch. That is amazing to build off of.
And you, instead of starting the opener and doing all that stuff, you've got Daniel Lynch.
You do.
That is a big deal. Okay.
It's a massive bummer that he was not ready for so long.
Yes. So that's number 1. Yeah. Number 2, Chris Bubich.
Yep. With you.
Same situation. It's, hey, look, I don't have any depth at starting pitching. So Chris Bubich comes in. His first start, 5 innings, 2 earned runs. Great. Second start, 6 innings, 2 hits, no earned runs, no walks, 9 punchies.
Dude, he looked so good against the Giants.
He had a game score of 77.
Yeah, he was amazing.
That's really good. Mm-hmm. His next start was not great, but now we know why.
He was hurt.
Because his arm turned into jello.
And his elbow didn't work. And even then, he was still fine with the non-working elbow. Yeah. Like, it wasn't elite, but he was fine. So it's just the Lynch and Bubich injuries are the 2 biggest ones because you didn't have Lynch for 2 parts of the season, and you got 3 Bubich starts, which are all super encouraging. That maybe, like, if neither of those guys get hurt and they perform the way they've been performing for an entire season.
Well,
you have 2 starting pitchers. Boom, done.
But it's not just your starting pitchers. It's your number 3 and your number 4 starting pitcher because number 1 was Singer.
Yeah.
Number 2 was Greinke. 3 was Lynch. 4 was Bubich. And then 5 was going to be Jordan Lyles. Yeah. And if Jordan Lyles pitches not the way he has because he hasn't pitched well, but if he just gives you an opportunity, that's a problem. Yeah. Those 2 guys right there, when you look at it. Right now, Chris Bubich, his ERA is under 3, okay? Yeah. Daniel Lynch is, or under 3, under 4, okay? Daniel Lynch's ERA is under 4. Look at the Kansas City Royals right now. The only guy who's under 4 is Daniel Lynch.
Yeah.
So losing those 2 guys means you don't have starts from, insert player here and Mike Myers and all that. So those are the 2 biggest aspects. That's not the number 1 reason why the Royals are going to lose 100 games this year.
No, it's a major factor.
And it's not an excuse.
No.
This is a simple, sheer fact of if you are a team that is young and rebuilding, you don't have depth, and they don't. And the number one spot, they don't have depth. So you lose Lynch, you lose Bubic. Then you lose Waters. I think Waters is the third biggest key because that was going to be the guy in center field. Because then, guess what happens? You end up having to go to Jackie freaking Bradley Jr. and his 114 batting average.
Let's remember, if Drew Waters never gets hurt, Jackie Bradley Jr. is never signed, and it's just Isbell and Waters duking it out, which I think is also better because that needs to be a true year-long competition. Because you can, if for some reason they both give you an idea of, wow, both of these guys should be big league bats in this lineup. Well, then boom, you're 2 of your 3 outfield spots figured out. And not saying it would have ended up that way, but we haven't gotten a real chance for those two to compete because they both can't be healthy at the same time.
Yes. So I look at those 3 guys. That is huge, not just for this year and the sheer fact that they're unwatchable, but for the fact of next year. Same situation. Then I will throw in Vinny Pasquantino. I will throw in Vinny, and I know he was healthy for the majority of the season, but the last month you could start to see him wear and tear, and that's why they put him on the IL, and that's why they ended up looking at it and said, oh, we got to do this. If he would be healthy, and he was healthy the first month of the season.
We saw what that looked like.
That was impressive. Here, ready? This is Vinny Pasquantino in the first month of the season. If I can pull this up, because remember, my bold prediction was that Vinny Pasquantino was going to be a top 5 hitter in the AL. And after 1 month, Vinny Pasquantino was a top 5 hitter in the AL because at that point in time, he had enough health that it wasn't going to deter him too much, if you will. Then the wear and tear started to happen. Then playing every single day, doing all that.
Yeah.
But I want to make sure I get all this. In the month of April, this was his slash line. 300, 384, slug of 564, OPS of 948. Had 6 homers, 11 doubles in 110 at bats. That's stupid.
Yeah.
Then he started to get then the wear and tear started to happen. So I had Vinny P coming in at number 4. Now some people are going to disagree with me on this one because he started out okay and then turned into a pumpkin. But I do think if Lynch and if Bubic don't get hurt, you can move Keller to the bullpen. And I do think Brad Keller in the bullpen could be a guy who could get outs. I really do think that. I might be crazy and I might be the only one. But I do. That's a guy that could be. He would not be in the starting lineup if Lynch and Bubic pitched well.
I will say this.
Or not pitched well. Didn't get hurt.
I will say this about Brad Keller. If he had command, he'd be perfectly fine to be back in your rotation. A bullpen piece would be fine. But more importantly is this. If Brad Keller was healthy and doing literally anything, you could trade him. And and I get people like, oh, you trade him for like a box of baseballs. You trade him for a lottery ticket, and sometimes that works.
So
that's what the Brad Keller injury brings to you.
Those 5 to me are so big. And then you go Stamont, Isbell, Yarbrough. Remember, Nicky Lopez was out for a month. Amir Garrett, Jacob Brents, Taylor Clark, Massey, Beatty. I mean, they've had 14 guys miss time. 14 of them. But man, those 5 have been crucial. They really have. And that's what stinks. Coming up next, a quick edition of Start, Bench, and Cut. And then we will go to our Shawnee County Hall of Fame, Crystal Kemp. ready. I'm going to go with, you ready for this? I'm going to go with guy you'd want for the future.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So somebody that you want for the future. Start, bench, cut.
Okay.
Shohei Ohtani.
Okay.
Ronald Acuna.
Okay.
Eli De La Cruz.
Ellie De La Cruz.
Ellie De La Cruz.
Because
Shohei's a little older.
He is. If we're going future and long term.
Yeah. But
yeah.
He's your
He's your MVP at two different spots. I think I still got to start Shohei. Like, it's just, you have an all-star pitcher.
You only might be getting him for like
I don't care.
Years.
You're getting me an all-star pitcher and an all-star hitter. Like, that's literally what you're giving me.
For 4 years. That's it.
I'll take it.
Okay.
He's got more. I will say this. He's got at least like 6 in him. He has much more than 4.
He's 29.
Yeah, he'll be fine. He's got more than 4. He's not going to fall off the cliff at age 33. He's not. He'll be fine. I will bank on that. I'm going to go start Shohei. Man, this feels nuts about the words I'm about to come out of my mouth. I'm starting Shohei. I'm benching Ellie De La Cruz. I'm cutting Ronald Acuna Jr. I think Ellie De La Cruz has a chance to be Mike Trout levels of amazing. I can't say Shohei levels of amazing because that's just like its own little bubble, its own little universe.
Acuna's 25, by the way.
I know. Ellie's what, 22, 23?
Ellie is 21.
Yeah, 21. Yeah, 21.
That's why I'm saying you get Ellie from now until he's done, or Shohei until he's done.
Yeah.
Or Acuna. Acuna's only 25.
I have to call an audible, and I hate myself for saying. I have to remember saying these words. Start Ellie, bench Shohei, cut Ronald. Because even 4 to 5 years of Shohei is still amazing, but yeah, he's 21. I feel like he's going to do this for at least a decade, if not longer, and be this good. And this is even prime.
We thought Julio Rodriguez was going to be doing that.
Sophomore slumps happen. It'll be fine. Like, Julio's also going to be perfectly fine. He's just having a sophomore slump. But Ellie's so good, man. Like, freakishly, talentedly good. I think, yeah, he's 21. Yeah, start Ellie. Then, yeah.
That was a good one.
That's a really good one. Because the problem is, you want to go Shohei for sure, but, like, he's 29. That's true. That's not a bad point.
Coming up next, we will get to Crystal Kemp, one of the Shawnee County Hall of Fame inductees. That's coming up here on Mic'd Up. To Mike Dubb, Jake LeBon, Fulton Caster with you. We've got Royals baseball tonight, and I'm interested in this one. Reason being, Austin Cox getting the start for the Royals. He pitched excellent his last time out.
I'm so happy.
Going up against some guy named Logan Allen. So we've got Royals baseball tonight, 7:10 first pitch, 6:30 pregame coverage. We will talk with Rick Peterson coming up at the bottom of the hour in the 1 o'clock hour. We'll talk a little Chiefs, and we will get to just how aggressive is Andy Reid. Not personally, but decision-making. That'll be coming up in the 2 o'clock hour. But as we've done every single day this week, Monday, we talked with Chris Barnes, the bowling legend, on Monday. We talked with Kevin Bordewick, the coaching legend, yesterday. We were going to talk with Rick Peterson coming up in an hour. And so we are going through the Shawnee County Hall of Fame inductees of 2023. The banquet is tonight. It is so cool. It's fun. You get to hear from the Hall of Fame inductees and the people that they get to introduce them, which is always fun. And then you get to hand out hardware to the best of the best for the respective high school season for fall, winter, and spring, male, female, overall, inspirational. It's a great time. It's a lot of fun. And right now, we are going to talk with another one of the Shawnee County Hall of Fame inductees tonight, and it is Crystal Kemp. Crystal was a 2002 Topeka High graduate. She averaged 22 points and 11 boards as a senior, leading them to the Class 6A state title. She was all-class, all-state. She also won the discus that year. You know, throw in, I got to do something in the spring, so I might as well win the distance and set the school record in the discus at 145 feet. Goes to KU. Fantastic career at KU. Here's what she finished at the time when she finished KU. Top 10 in points, 7th in KU history, 8th in rebounds. She is 8th in free throws made, free throws attempted, 6th in field goals made. She is 7th in block shots and 6th in minutes played. So she is all over the record books there at Allen Fieldhouse. On the women's side of things, all Big 12 first pick as a senior, reached double figures in all 30 games, a phenomenal career. She is going into the Shawnee County Hall of Fame. She joins us right now on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits phone line. Crystal, thank you so much for taking the time, for allowing myself to brag about you, because you won't. So first of all, congratulations. on becoming a Shawnee County Hall of Fame inductee. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
When did you get the phone call that said, hey, by the way, Crystal, what are you doing in June? We'd love for you to come and be a Hall of Famer. What was your initial thought?
So I had a message on Facebook, and I'm not on Facebook very often, and I just so happened to scroll and saw a message saying, hey, I may have some good news for you if you can give me a call or, DM me. And I ended up DMing, I believe it was Rick Peterson at the time. And he told me that I had been an inductee and wanted to see if I was available. And he said, if not, we can make it happen for next year. But I was so taken aback and surprised and excited. I was like, oh yeah, we'll make it happen this summer. So that was I believe that was maybe Marchish. But again, I'm not on Facebook very often, but I was glad that I happened to get on that day and saw that message, and I'm extremely excited about it.
Well, let's go back. One of the first questions I always ask the inductees, I asked this to Chris Barnes, I asked this to Kevin Bordewick, and in terms of coaching, when did you know you were better than everybody? When did you know, hey, I'm really damn good at this basketball thing? Was it, as a freshman, because you were a 4-year letter winner? Not many freshmen, especially at a 6A school, start on varsity. When did you know? Maybe you were a lot younger. You were in the 8th grade, and you were giving people buckets then. When did you know you were better than most?
Well, I think it was when I was younger, chasing my brothers around, playing ball with the boys, and doing pretty well. I didn't get picked up first, but my brother always picked me up, and we kind of dominated out there on the playground. And so I felt that I had a little something special, but it was really validated probably after my freshman year at Topeka High when I had gotten Newcomer of the Year. And I was like, okay, I might be on to something.
So take me through kind of that senior year when you were averaging 22 and 11. That's some incredible numbers. Not many people are able to do that. Take me through that senior year when you're able to lead your team to the state tournament for the first time in over 16 years.
Yeah, we had some really good freshmen, some really good younger players, and they were super hungry about it. And, it had been so long for our school since we had gotten there, and it was just a matter of just wanting to get there. Unfortunately, we came up a little short, but I mean, we had such a fun season my senior year, and they were really good with supporting me. And, we really bonded outside of the court. And I think that was what really got us to playing together and just hungry to go out there and compete and get as far as we could.
I want to stay with the high school aspect of this. Do you remember a high school game in which you go, yeah, that game, I was just in a different area than everybody. I dominated. I was in the zone. Is there a game that sticks out of your Topeka High career?
I want to say is when we went to Junction City, and I believe I had like 38 points and 20 boards that game. And I remember after the game walking to the locker room, because I want to say we went into overtime and possibly double overtime, and I caught a full body cramp after the game on the way to the locker room. And so I don't know if it's the full body cramp that made it more memorable or the 38 points and 20 plus boards, but it was a great game, and we were just back and forth. And that's the one that stands out the most.
Well, this is a unique situation, Crystal, because I remember you playing. This is kind of firsthand knowledge. I was a graduate of Salina Central in 03, so I would have been a junior when you were a senior. And I remember going to the dungeon, loved playing at the dungeon, a lot of fun. And I remember you I think you scored 35 on our Central women. And I remember going to my other teammates going, man, she's different. I remember watching that game. So I don't know if you can recall anything from that, but that's when I remember Crystal Kemp going. And then we found out, of course, later that year, oh yeah, remember that girl from Topeka High who dropped like 35? Yeah, she's going to KU. And it was like, yeah, that makes sense. I understand that. Do you have any recollection of you dropping about 35 on the Mustangs?
Yeah, I do remember scoring pretty high numbers against Salina Central. That was a team that we kind of, it was a long ride when we would play there. And then, of course, playing in the dungeon was an experience. I mean, I just felt like there was no court in Kansas that reflected what the energy that it brung, and just the atmosphere in general. And so I do remember scoring pretty well on Salina Central at home. I do.
I remember that as well, Crystal, no question. We're talking with Crystal Kemp, 2023 Shawnee County Hall of Fame inductee, going in tonight at the banquet. So you decided to go to KU. Why KU? Why did you go be a Jayhawk?
I had went to one of the camps that they had, and Lynette Woodard was there, and I was such a huge fan of hers. And just to be able to not necessarily live up to her legacy, but follow her legacy and be a part of that community down there, Lynette Woodard really sold it for me. I mean, I was just in awe every time I was in her presence, and just her energy. And I just absolutely loved her and Coach Washington. And I really did not feel the way I felt once I visited Kansas at any other school I went to on visits. And so having the opportunity to play for the Jayhawks, I was a huge men's basketball fan in middle school and or high school. And just to have that opportunity to play right up the road, I mean, there was really no question once they offered me a scholarship.
What do you remember most about that freshman year? Not many freshmen average double figures their first year in college. Did you feel like it was were you surprised you did that, or was it more your confidence at that time knowing you can play at that level? You just had to you just took care of business.
Well, to be honest, I was telling my kids on the ride up here that I was really okay. I was just so excited about the opportunity to be a part of that program and to be blessed with the Division I scholarship. I was happily okay just, getting the towels and getting the drinks for the other players, assuming I wasn't going to get any time on the court. So I was going to be the best towel getter, the best drink getter from the bench, and was going to be okay with that because, you have to earn your keep when you're coming in as a freshman. And my expectations were not that. But of course, I went in and I worked hard and I played hard, and fortunately was able to get that starting position, and was shocked and just was kind of like in this state of unbelievable, like, wow, I'm really a freshman starting at the University of Kansas. And, that really was a good driving factor for me for the rest of my career to maintain that, because you have great players coming in after you. And it's not something that you're given. You have to earn it every single year and every single season. And so I wanted to make sure that I did that.
I mean, you look at these numbers, Crystal, you had over 1,600 points and 800 rebounds at KU. There's only 5 other people who've done that at KU. Do you ever stop and think about, man, you know what? I actually was pretty damn good.
Yeah, I do. It's kind of hard to believe. I'm one of those people who don't necessarily. I would say that I'm a pretty humble person, and when I look at it, or when I hear other people saying it, it's like, wow, okay, I really did do something. And also, just kind of trying to convince my kids, because they don't believe you can do anything, and so. When you try to show them stats and things, it's not real until they're actually in it and see it. And so, I mean, it really is a blessing to have done as well as I did. And I'm extremely thankful and grateful and excited about being recognized for that.
All right, I asked the same thing. Do you remember a game when you played at KU that stands out for you?
It would have to be, we were at home versus Wisconsin, and that was a double overtime game as well. Once again, I caught cramps. I may have to do something about that. But that's a game that I had, I believe, maybe 15 boards and 28 points. And that was another back and forth game, and it was just really exciting. We had a pretty decent crowd, and we ended up coming out on top. But that's one of the ones that stands out. And then a couple of those Missouri rivalry games too as well. That was always fun.
Is there something that you would attribute to your success? I always try to ask, the people who were at the elite of the elite, and you're one of them. You don't go into the Hall of Fame for being okay. So if you would say, what was a big aspect for you, whether it be on the court, and you worked on this, whether it be off the court, What do you think was a big reason for your success?
I was given an opportunity and I was given a gift, and just having the ability to go out and play the sport that I loved, and just being something or someone that someone else looked up to. Things weren't always the easiest coming up, and so having the opportunity to do more and have that experience and one day be able to tell my kids about it was definitely a driving force for me. I was blessed with the talent, and God trusted that talent with me. And so I wanted to honor him by going out there and doing the best that I could with that gift.
Every player has a coach that, either guided them or maybe, hit the realization button and it worked out there. Sometimes it's in junior high school, maybe it's in college. Was there a coach in you that you look back on and you say, man, I'm really appreciative of that coach?
I mean, I had so many, and I can't even really pinpoint one. All of them made some type of contribution to my game, whether it be actually on the court or in life. Um, there isn't anyone that stands out because I was really fortunate to have some great coaches that really instilled some great values into me. So it's very difficult for me to
Mm-hmm.
pinpoint one, and just very thankful and grateful for them believing in me and pushing me, and just trying to pull the best out of me. And so really with every single one that I've had, even from the school to club teams, I was very fortunate to have some very good coaches, and thankful for that.
We're talking with Crystal Kemp, Shawnee County Hall of Fame inductee, a 2002 Topeka High graduate. And we got to know, see, I know what Chris Barnes is doing. Well, he's still bowling. He's down in Texas. I know what Kevin Bordewick is doing because, well, he's at workouts right now until 2 o'clock. I know what Rick Peterson is doing. What is Crystal Kemp doing? What are you doing nowadays?
So I am actually an educator in Texas. I moved back home to Texas. I'm originally from Texas, and for the past 15 years, I've been with the same district, Richardson ISD, and I am actually a secondary assistant principal at a junior high, and recently just won assistant principal of the year.
Hey, there we go.
Yeah, for this past school year. So things are going well down there. Education is something I didn't initially picture for myself, but the impact that I'm able to have on students is definitely something that I appreciate and love doing.
You mentioned you have kids, so I'm going to ask this. Have they beaten mom in horse or pig or one-on-one? Can mom still shoot it?
Oh, absolutely. I let them win, because sometimes you want to give them a little bit of faith. But for the most part, they definitely try their best, but not quite yet.
So they can't beat you one-on-one yet.
Oh, absolutely not.
That's always good because I remember it was a big thing when I beat my dad for the very first time in one-on-one. It was a huge deal. And so,
yeah.
it might, I don't know how old your kids are, but it might take them a little bit because if you still got some moves in you, it might be it might be a long time for them to beat mom.
Yeah, I have a 12-year-old son and a 10-year-old daughter. And so, unfortunately for them, like I told them, they have to wait a little bit longer than most kids to beat their parents in something or outgrow them, because it's just a little different on this end. So, maybe my son will beat me in a few years. He's going to have to get a little bit taller, and, but he's got a few years before he can celebrate that. The same with my daughter. They got a little time.
The height is a big deal there. It really is. That's a big equalizer.
Yes.
When you're able to be tall, such as yourself, it's hard to go up against the tall ones. All right, Crystal,
Yep.
I got two questions for you. We call it two for the road. You can just name them. Very simple, very easy. If there's one thing that you could change about either high school basketball or college basketball when you watch it now, what would it be?
I just want to see the big man come back to domination like it used to be back in the past. We definitely have some coming up and trying to bring it back, But the big man game, I that was something that I prided myself on and love to see on, the NBA level, WNBA level. And that's something I want to see come back into full force is the utilization of the big man and, some offenses running through them first.
And how often do you keep track of the KU women's program? Do you try to stay in touch with them?
Absolutely. I am a huge fan still. After a lot of the big wins that the team had this year, I texted Coach Snyder and just let him know good game. Took advantage of the Big 12 Plus on ESPN and watched every game. Tried to stream every game that I could, and when they're down in Texas, I try to catch them every time.
Oh,
and
awesome!
So still very much a big supporter, big fan. My daughter was just actually at the camp. My daughter and my niece, and it was great to have her on campus and playing. And she took some pictures next to my picture and my son and niece, and that was probably one of the best feelings in the world to see them there in a place where their mom and aunt are fairly well known. So
yeah, it's they see you as mom and aunt, but they don't realize that mom and aunt was really damn good playing in a Jayhawk uniform. It's like you're two different people. You got two different lives almost. Well, Crystal, thank you so much for the time. One last thing, who's introducing you today at the banquet?
It's going to be my brother. My brother's going to introduce me. So I'm interested to see some things he's going to say for sure.
Well, Crystal, we thank you so much for the time. We appreciate it. And as an individual who saw you dominate on the court, this was a question of when you were going to get in, not if. Congratulations and enjoy tonight.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
That is Crystal Kemp, 2002 Topeka High graduate, going into the Shawnee County Hall of Fame this evening, and that's pretty impressive. Only 6 Jayhawks have got 1,600 points and 800 rebounds. She is one of them, right here in Topeka kid, and now back in Texas, assistant principal of the year. How about that? Awesome. That's pretty sweet. But yeah, that was she was the true post presence.
Yeah,
and I can guarantee if you're an assistant principal, she would be one not to mess with. And yeah. Her 12-year-old son, you're going
to learn for a little while.
You got to eat your Wheaties if you're going to end up trying to do that. So that's awesome. Crystal Kemp, fantastic career in high school and in college. Coming up, we will get to some big news from KSHSAA, and we'll talk with Rick Peterson coming up in the 1 o'clock hour. Here on Mic'd Up. Jake and Fulton Caster with you. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, we're going to talk with Rick Peterson, our final Shawnee County Hall of Fame inductee. Pistol will be joining us to talk all things, well, Rick Peterson.
He's just going to love that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's going to love that. We are going to talk about Andy Reid and his aggressiveness on really the football field, as in decision making. Not a very aggressive guy,
No.
More of just doesn't really get into it a whole lot. When Big Red gets mad, he is mad. I still say when Andy Reid brought up, let's put flags on him after they changed the kickoff rule, that's part of, the most vocal maybe I've heard Andy Reid in a while. So that was kind of fun. That was kind of nice to see. So we'll get to that in the 2:00 hour today here on Mic'd Up. Lots to get to. Let us know your thoughts. Hit us up on the text line, 785-272-9429. Go to our website, 580www.com. Check us out on YouTube. Go to youtube.com/@sportson580. Hit us up in the comments section as well. Today in the comments, the Royals offense had 2 hits, 1 run, and 1 walk. Yes. And they were not good yesterday. They were not.
It was bad.
But Austin Cox goes tonight.
Oh, man, I'm excited.
We'll talk about that in the to finish up this edition of Mic'd Up. Short edition tomorrow because the Royals have a day game. They're going to play in, like 102-degree weather.
Have fun, Zach Greinke.
So season low in attendance tomorrow.
It's not going to be high.
No. But
why? I have to
hold on a second. Hold on a second.
Yeah. Okay. I'll hold on a second.
What's the current temperature right now? Oh, never mind.
93.
93. Feels like 102.
Yeah.
Wearing pants.
Yeah.
Outside.
Yeah.
Running.
Yeah.
Sweating.
Yeah. Not fun.
Awesome. Love it.
Stinks. Brutal. Awful. Horrendous. This type of weather sucks.
You want to know who loves this type of weather?
Psychopaths.
I do.
Psychopaths.
You know who else?
Psychopaths.
You're talking. You're saying my 2 kids are psychopaths.
No, I'm not going to go that far to your kids. Kids are different.
They love it.
Kids
outside,
love
man.
a lot of things, man.
They love it outside. I got to have water on the ready because they're outside playing and jumping and
do
doing
they have a
everything.
little kiddie pool to play in?
Have
we gotten to that stage yet?
Oh no, what we did was my brother-in-law, Lindsay's brother, for Lawson, they always get the kids like combined gifts, just one gift for 2 of them.
Yeah.
Well, they got them a one of the blow up big giant inflatables.
Yeah.
That if you hook up the hose and it's got a big giant, it's got a water slide and everything.
Things.
Yeah. So they got him one of those.
Okay, there we go.
And I might have to bust that out this evening.
Yeah.
I'm solo dadding it right now. The wife.
So yeah, you're kind of on just Jake patrol.
Solo dadding it, and anybody out there solo dadding it knows what I'm going through. And so might have to break that out because it might be late enough in the day where the sun is not too crazy hot. Maybe like 6 o'clock. We'll break that out and air it up and do all that kind of stuff. They love that. Love the water. Big swimmers. Oh yeah. So.
No, I will call you nuts. I will not insult your children that way. They're far too young.
Well, they're kids. They should be outside.
Yeah, they're kids. They should be outside and loving outside and playing despite the weather.
For the first time.
Did they do hose drink?
They drank out of the hose.
Let's go. Jake, you're parenting your kids properly.
Right?
We're building strong children.
Here, hold on. Where's it at here?
Oh, gotta drink out of the hose.
Yes. Here you go. You can see it right there, Fulton.
Oh, that's perfect. Yes.
Yeah. We're
drinking out of the hose.
Drinking out of the hose, spraying the dog.
There was nothing better than growing up, playing in the backyard, being exhausted, just run to the corner, get the hose on.
That hose hit different, man.
It did. The hose hit different.
The hose is still the best water you can drink. Coming out of it, tasting like metal. Damn,
you can taste all the impurities.
That's way better. Ready? Back in my day, that was the way you did it. You didn't run inside. You didn't have bottled water. You didn't have, the canteens. You didn't. No, you didn't. What you did was you ran over to the hose, turned it on, got a absolute face, full of water, and then you held it up, and then you had the arc, and then you just
you drank out of it. And you also drenched the head a little bit to cool yourself off. Yeah,
yes,
it's the way to do it.
So I was happy about that. That made me. I was like, comes full circle. How about that?
It does.
So that was all right. I was okay with that. Speaking of coming first full circle,
yes,
KSHSAA, kudos. KSHSAA today putting out some great new info. The executive board approved several items during the June meeting. Not this year, 2023, but 2024. State football will be held at 3 locations, with 3 games being taken place at each site. That's the first thing. So in 2024, not this coming year, 23, so one more football season, you'll have these 7 sites. Then in 24, it is going to be 3 sites. 6A, 5A, 4A at one site, 3A, 2A, 1A at another site. And then the 8-man probably still in Newton, because I think Newton's hosted that since, the dawn of the century. So awesome. One game is going to be on Friday night, and then 2 games will be on Saturday. That is the schedule coming up in 2024. According to this, it will be on November 29th and 30th. 1 game on the Friday, 2 on Saturday. So you're going to have 2 locations, and then probably playing it at Newton would be my guess. Executive Director Bill Faflick says this: the KSHSAA is at a point where we want to look at what combining sites for a few of our championships would look like. We believe it can add to the student and fan experience. Kansas has a rich tradition of great community support where we host championships. We do not anticipate that changing. It will still take a slightly different, it will look slightly different depending on the year and the selection of hosts. I love this. I think this is great. They did this my senior year of high school. We played at KU against Topeka West. That's right. We took on the cell phone chargers. Beat them. That's right. Take that, Topeka West. Mm-hmm.
Wow, Mustang beat a Charger.
Mustang dominated the Charger.
2 types of horses going at it.
14-6. That's what we won. We won 14-6.
Different game.
That game was like minus 85 degrees. It was so cold. But yeah, 14-6. But then right afterwards, I remember Olathe North played for the 6A title against some other team. I just remember Olathe North because they used our locker room. Yeah. As we were exiting the locker room, Olathe North was coming in. So I think this is awesome. I love this.
Oh, it's a great move. It's a fantastic move.
Now, if I could alter it at all, and I'm certain that they looked at this and they have their reasons, I don't know them, but they do, I would try to play all three of them the same day. Now, maybe it's tough logistically, but to me, you could play one game at 11.
Yeah, take that to about what?
4.
Yeah, 11-4.
Play that one at 11.
Yeah.
That game will take 3 hours, goes until 2. Play the game, the next one at 3:30.
Yeah.
Okay, you got an hour and a half in between.
Yeah.
Plenty of time. And then you play the other one, at 7 or 7:30.
Yeah, you could play them all three in the same day.
You could. Now maybe that's too tight and too close.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand that, and that's why they're probably doing it 1 on Friday night and then 2 on Saturday. I'd like the 3 because then it's just one day. It's kind of like an elephant gun where it's just a major blast instead of like a double barrel shotgun where you got 2 of them. So I like this because especially on the last day, if you want to go watch football, show up and you can watch 2 games. Now, I don't know, maybe they're going to clear the stadium. I don't know. I would hope they wouldn't do that. Just, pay $10 and you get to watch 2 football games.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome. Where they're going to do it, I don't know, depending upon how early the Big 12 schedule comes about. Here's the reason why. Big 12 now goes all the way. You play Thanksgiving weekend. That is the same time that the state championship is for football. Well, this upcoming year, let's say you did this in 2023. Well, you ain't playing it at Kansas State because K-State has a home game.
Yep.
Okay. KU does not.
You could play it in Lawrence.
You could play it in Lawrence. Now, whenever the Big 12 makes their schedule, maybe KSHSAA looks at that and says, hey, KU, can we do it? Or hey, K-State, can we do it? So that could be one site. Maybe you look at the Division II sites. Maybe you look at Washburn, or you look at Emporia, or you look at, I wonder, Cessna Stadium. Maybe you look at Wichita and you go Cessna Stadium is one of them. I don't know when the Big 12, if the problem is you have to release it a year more in advance. You have to try to get it settled a year further in advance. I would think. I don't know. They got to make those calls because, they've already got it set for 2023 to make sure it is. You do a lot of this stuff, well in advance. Well, for 2024, we don't know the Big 12 schedule.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I can't imagine for the Big 12, KSHSAA could, talk to KU, K-State, get the stadiums kind of on lock. And then KU and K-State got to go to the Big 12 and just say, hey, by the way, we can't play at home that week.
Well, see, if I'm K-State, I wouldn't. No, you're not. You are not going to dictate whether or not we have a home game.
And I agree with that as well.
It's the same situation that K-State has with basketball, because sometimes, state basketball cannot be held in Manhattan because K-State has a home game.
Yeah,
that last week. So before it's sub-state and then the state they don't. So that's why Bramlage
2A's usually played in Manhattan.
Exactly. So you're just gonna have to wait and see what this will do. But I think this is great. And they said here some other news. The soccer postseason will undergo some adjustments as well, and will be played at one site starting in the fall of 2024. And they are going to go the seeded aspect of this, which I think is great. Wrestling will also have some changes the upcoming year. Previously, it was they're going to release a change to 4A and 3A through 1A boys and girls wrestling. They're going to do some changes there. Basketball and volleyball postseason formats were discussed and tabled for further discussion. This is going to happen in basketball too, and it should. Basketball more so maybe than football, because you can turn in and turn out basketball a lot quicker.
You can do so much quicker turnover with basketball games than football games.
I would love this for basketball.
I would too.
6A, 5A, 4A at one site, 3A, 2A, 1A at another site. That would be electric. I mean electric.
Dude, those gyms would be packed to the rafters.
It'd
be so cool.
I think that would be awesome. I also think you don't need 8 teams to make it to state.
No.
I am among those that say winning 2 games gets you to I'm using air quotes here, the state tournament. I think you need to win more than that. I think state needs to be a bigger deal than that. I would like for you to have to win 3 games.
I was going to say, would you basically take that first round of what state matches would be and make those the sub-state finals?
Yes.
And
now,
then you do,
they did that.
2021.
Good old COVID.
Yeah.
Of course, in 2020, didn't have a championship.
Yeah,
2021, they did that. They played the first round games at different sites on Monday and Tuesday, and then it was just Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You had the top 4 teams play over the weekend. That, to me, is what you can do if you combined 2 or 3 of these sites. What they do in Nebraska, it's all at one site. Now, they use a bunch of different gyms, but they do one weekend the girls play, and then they do one weekend the boys play. That's what they do. It's all held in Lincoln, and they do it all around that area. And then the championship game is played, I believe, at Pinnacle. And that is what I want to see. I want to see 6A, 5A, 4A at 1, so you can just watch a ton of basketball. Because if you're a generic fan, you have a chance to go watch, Blue Valley Northwest, and then in 5A you got a chance to watch, Perry Ellis, and then in 4A you had a chance to watch, Shimmy Ojale. You can do that all in one weekend.
Yeah.
Or in 3A, 2A, 1A, you get to watch, the Oilers out of Central Heights dominate, and then you can see, the Opie girls play or something of that nature. So I think that's really, really cool. I can't say enough about volleyball to know, but I do think basketball, you can easily combine them if you whittle it down to just 4.
Yeah.
Easily 2, because and let's say you whittle it down to two sites, 6A and 5A at one site, right? Whittle it down to 4. Hey, it's the same. You're going to have 8 girls teams, 4 girls for 6A, 4 girls for 5A. Hey, that's the same, 8 teams if it was one site. So you could easily do that. If it's 2 sites. But I like it. I think it's good. I think it's a good situation. Kudos to you, Keisha. I still think Keisha needs to have more say because there's too many cooks in the kitchen. Keisha's a board. They have to go through. If they want to pass anything, they got to get everybody's opinion and everybody's, vote and all that kind of stuff, which not everybody deserves a vote, to be honest with you. The people over there, they are smart. They're trying to do what's best for the whole. Now, some of the rules that they got, I'm not going to lie to you, kind of stupid. But this is great. What they've done, shortening it. I still think 2 Class 1A or two Class 1A sites. I don't like that. Yes, if you want to anger me, email me, send me a tweet. Don't care. At some point in time, you got to do what's best for the whole instead of what's best for the individual. You're not going to please everybody in high school athletics.
No, you're not.
Just the way it is.
Not even close.
And if you don't like it, play better.
Honestly, yeah.
Get better.
Yeah.
That's just the way it was. We played against every single 6A school when I was in high school. There were 2 5A schools. That was it. Us and them losers from South. Okay. Manhattan, Power 6A. Junction 6A. Yeah.
Tell me how you really feel about South, Jake.
Everybody knows how I feel about South.
That's true.
I still can't wear the colors green and gold.
It's really funny.
Still can't.
It's really funny to me.
Can't.
I find it hilarious.
Do you know how long it took for me growing up to find green to wear for St. Patrick's Day?
Forever, because you never kept it around.
I wouldn't be caught dead wearing green.
Because what was your guys' colors?
Elite colors, maroon and white.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Maroon and white.
You're in an area of the state I'm not perfectly familiar with.
Yeah.
So I sometimes vaguely remember.
And not everybody can make it up to God's country.
It's been a fine time anytime I've been out there. Tony's Pizza Event Center is a great building, though.
It's a fun time.
It's a great building.
Good stuff. Coming up next, we got Everyone Loves the List, and then we'll talk with Rick Peterson. And we're going back to middle school, Jake, right now. 25 years ago today, The Undertaker threw Mankind off the Hell in a Cell, and it was one of the most iconic sports moments in the history
Still
of the
talked
world.
about all these years later, 25 years later.
That's when JR, with one of the greatest calls of all time, said, "Oh my goodness, he broke him in half."
It's beautiful.
Fantastic.
Perfection.
JR, fantastic. So,
Good
in
old Jim
light
Ross.
of that, we're going to do a quick list of our favorite wrestling type of matches. This was Hell in a Cell, where it wasn't a cage match.
Yeah, it's a big cell. That's the difference.
Yeah.
It's a cell because it goes all the way over and it's huge.
It's also made of the like chain link and everything, whereas a cage match was literally a cage around the ring.
Yeah.
This was,
and then eventually turned into the chain link fencing as well.
Yeah. So
Either way,
that's what we got. All right, rolling through them real quick. Number 4.
Easy for me. Last man standing. Great time.
Number 4 for me. I'm gonna go with the no disqualification.
That's a good one.
Anybody can join in.
That's a good call. Number 3 for me, the I quit match. Got to make a man say I quit. Very demoralizing.
Number 3 for me, the ladder match. Anytime you involve ladders are terrific.
Oh, ladders are a great time. Number 2 for me, old school WCW here, War Games. We got 2 rings, double cages. It's amazing.
I don't even know what that is.
Dude, I'll show it to you sometime. War Games is awesome.
I was team WWF, by the way.
That's fine.
Didn't watch any WCW. Number 2 for me is the Hell in a Cell. Because that is the match that I remember more than anything when I was a kid. I couldn't believe he threw him off the top of that. That had to be a 30-foot fall.
It's a very, very high drop. Number 1 for me was very simple. It's the greatest gimmick match of all time. Royal Rumble.
The Royal Rumble.
Royal Rumble's amazing.
It's not even a question.
It's the greatest gimmick match of all time, and it will never be different.
The Royal Rumble. They run in all the time. It's fantastic.
Oh, it's great.
It is. Coming up next, we're going to talk with our final Shawnee County Hall of Fame inductee. He joins us in studio. Rick Peterson comes up next. Finish up the Shawnee County Hall of Fame inductee tour. Right now, we talked with Chris Barnes on Monday. Great to talk with the bowling legend. Talked yesterday with Kevin Borderwick, basketball coach and volleyball coaching legend. We talked earlier today, just an hour ago, to Crystal Kemp, basketball legend. If you finish one of 6 people at a Division I power institution like KU is, and you're one of 6 to have 1,600 points and 800 rebounds. There's only 6 of them. That's incredible. Crystal Kemp, phenomenal for your career. And we finish things off with the man who covered every single one of them. Every single one of them, Rick Peterson has interviewed before.
Yeah.
He is Rick Peterson, and he joins us in studio. Pistol, before we get to talking, I got to give you your background so people know. Rick Peterson from Kansas City, Kansas. He is a proud graduate of Wyandotte High School. He is a mound builder, Southwestern College down there in Winfield. And he is in his 5th decade as a sports writer, which is a very nice way of saying he's experienced, which is another nice way of saying he's old. But how about this? Rick Peterson started in Baldwin, moved to Ottawa, and then to the Topeka Capital Journal in 1989. Fulton, you were but just a dream at that point in time.
Yeah, I was just, a twinkle in my father's eye.
Where he continued to work until 2020, and now he is working for, as we have him on 580 Sports Talk every single week, topsports.news. And here's some others that we got to get through here, Pistol. So hold on, just give me a few minutes here. First sports writer to become 2-time winner of the Kansas State High School Activities Association Oscar Stauffer Award. That's incredible that he's won it twice. 5-time winner of the National Sports Media Association Kansas Sports Writer of the Year. More than 20 awards overall. Received the Sports Writer of the Year awards from the KBCA, wrestling, tennis, all sorts of other writing awards from the Kansas Press Association. He is Rick Peterson. I want to dub you Mr. Topeka High School Sports, but it sounds so much better to call you Pistol. Rick Peterson joining us. Pistol, you hate talking about yourself, and I understand that, but you're just going to deal with that for the next 15 minutes. First of all, congratulations, man. And,
Thank you.
And I mean this from every single person, because I've talked to a lot of people about this. I've talked to Kevin Bordewick. I've talked to Chris Barnes and Kyle Weems and Mike Wilhoit and Washburn guys all the way down, to 1989 when you started. You're a huge reason why high school sports is a big deal in Topeka. You get the coverage out there. Everybody knows Rick Peterson. They might not know your face.
Good.
They might not know your face, but everybody knows Rick Peterson. And I want to say this as someone who loves high school athletics, high school sports, what you have done for this community to get players' stories out, to recap them, to talk to them. It is a big thank you. And I know you think you don't deserve this award.
True.
Because you weren't an athlete. That's bull. That's a load of garbage. You are part of the sports world, and you have done this at such a high level. And thank you for doing this, Pistol, because you give a voice to the high schools when most people want to talk about Patrick Mahomes and they want to talk about Bill Self. We're sitting here and we get to read about the Brooklyn Delays and the Trey Richardsons and the Carly Batchelors, going all the way back to the Kyle Weemses and way, way back to the Crystal Kemps and the Theron Wilsons and all of that. So the Barksdale brothers, no, brothers and family. But it's you have meant a lot more than you realize. So kudos and thank you for doing that, Pistol.
Well, I certainly appreciate it. And some of the names you brought up, one of my big things is I'm so proud of the fact that when I reach out to most anybody, Mike Wilhoit was exchanging texts with me yesterday. Kyle Weems, Chris Barnes has been great. Aaron Crow was great last year when he came back in. They are always so good to get right back to me, to give me any time I need. And that's one of the biggest things I got. I couldn't do what I do without the athletes, the coaches, the ADs. We were just talking about Gene Castle at Washburn University Sports Information, but I couldn't do what I do without those people. And they're so good to me and treated me so good that I won't say it's easy because it's a lot of time sometimes.
You grind,
but they
man.
make it possible, and I'm very proud of all that. I used to say, somebody'd ask me what my big claim to fame was, and I'd say, well, shoot, the 2019 U.S. Open champ always answers my text. So, I've been very fortunate, and I've done a lot of big events. I've done heavyweight championship fights. I've done KU when they won the national title in San Antonio. I've done bowl games and all that, but my favorite is high school athletics.
So that's kind of my question for you here. You've been at the Journal in '89.
Mm-hmm.
You could have covered the KU beat. You could have covered the K-State beat. I don't know if those beats were offered to you. It's above my, I don't need to know that. But I'm sure that they approached you at least and said, hey, Rick, we got the K-State opening, or we got the KU opening, or maybe we've got the Royals opening back when the Journal covered the Royals, maybe the Chiefs. But you stayed at Prep Sports. Why?
Well, like I said, that is my favorite. And the thing is, I guess if there's another thing I'm proud of, when you're talking about covering the Royals on the Royals Beach, you're talking about one sport. If you're talking about KU, you're doing a lot of things on football and basketball, and then some others. But I think it's about 23, 24 sports at the high school level that are now KSHSAA sanctioned. And I try to cover every single one of them, and I enjoy every single one of them. And I think it's as important for the bowlers and the soccer players and the tennis players and the golfers to at least feel like they're as much of a priority like football, basketball, baseball, and some of those are. So I think it's important to cover every sport, and doing that at the high school level gives me that chance.
The travel's not as bad either.
No. And I would not do that. Probably even 15, 20 years ago, I wouldn't have wanted to travel as much as those guys did.
Well, we're talking with Rick Peterson. He's the final inductee going into the Shawnee County Sports Hall of Fame for the banquet this evening, which he pretty much puts on, which is going to be kind of funny. Normally, he's the one taking photos and recording everything on his iPad right in front of it. So I don't know who's going to do it when you're up there, Pistol. I find that I don't know. That's just me going to that event so many times that I find that going to be kind of funny. Are you just going to put a stand up there and record yourself?
Well, I don't know. I am going to be taking pictures. I am going to be recording the other inductees. But, you mentioned Bordewick. I turned this down 2 or 3 times. This might have been the 3rd year. And the reason was, yes, I do not feel that I'm deserving, or I just feel that there's a lot more people that are more deserving. But also, I just didn't want to put the attention on me, and because we are involved with this program. But I talked to Kevin Bordewick, and he basically said, because I told him he was going in, and we talked about me, and he basically said, "Don't be stupid." Yeah, so
that's very Bordewick.
Yeah, that tracks so much.
Yeah, he said, because I said, "Well, I don't want people to think I'm putting myself in stuff like that," and he said,
Kevin probably wanted to smack you.
Yeah,
he
said, "Don't be stupid." But then we have a separate committee that does this, and the people on the committee this year, Joe Schrag was there, Ken Berry was there, Ken Darting was there, Vince Fry, who has had a lot to do with tourism, everything in this town, and especially the 3 Hall of Famers, Schrag, Berry, and Darting. I thought it would be disrespectful to say no to them. So as soon as they said you're in, I'm not going to fight those guys.
And, if you're worrying about, conflict of interest and all that kind of thing, Pistol, there's a reason why when you reach out to everybody or talk to everybody that they do return your phone calls, and because they know that you're going to shoot them straight. You're about the most straight shooter reporter that there is. And that's the one thing maybe too is, you don't have to jump through hoops, like the college level. Not a lot of people get a lot of access to Bill Self.
Yeah.
You know who I know can talk to every single coach here in the city?
Yeah.
His name's Rick Peterson, and he's sitting 4 feet from me.
Yeah.
That's got to be kind of a benefit. And I want to point out to this too. It's harder to be a beat writer for high school than it is for any other sport. And I'm going to explain this to everybody. There's not live stats for high school athletics. I get to watch Gene Castle type away and Joyce Smith and Kyle do all their stuff and take stats and everything. I mean, I keep my book, right? You know, that's a 3, that's a 2, turnovers, all that.
But that's just for you. That's for your own records.
I get to look over on my laptop and it's got shooting and numbers and offensive rebounds and second chance points. It makes me sound really good. He does all of that with the pen and with paper.
Yeah.
It's not as if you have somebody to do that. You are watching the game, writing, tweeting, doing all of that. How the hell do you do that?
Well, after, like we talked about, 44 years, it's second nature for me. And what I learned, one thing I learned, particularly with like football stats, if us 3 and 2 others were sitting there all lined up together taking stats, none of them would be exactly the same.
Correct.
So you got to do the best you can and go that. But one of my absolute all-time favorite stories, I was at, I don't even remember the kid's name, and God bless him, but I was covering a game at Seco Park and in Manhattan, and probably Washburn Rural, but I don't know for sure. But anyway, they had some kid, the Mercury had some kid covering it for them, and I'm sure he was a student at K-State. Well, we get done and we're getting ready to go down, and you know where the locker rooms are there, way far away. And he turns to me and he says, "Hey, when do you think they'll have my stat packet?"
Oh, buddy.
And
Kiddo.
said, hold on, take a photo of mine.
No, you know what I said? Yeah, why don't you go ask Lou Lane that? Because Lou Lane was the coach at that time, and I thought that, but I thought, boy, you may not because I've seen several sports writers that just couldn't do the stats.
I don't know how you do it.
So they went away. But no, it's just, for me, 2 things. One, like I said, it does become just a way of life and a routine. But 2, you got to realize that if you mess something up, you're probably going to be the only one that knows something. Now, it's a little different now that they film all the games and stuff like that. But back in the old days, there wasn't anybody going to know if you were 5 yards off.
Yeah. Any sport that you like better than most, or are you kind of like a like a mother or father of 23, and you're like, I love them all?
I love them all, but I am going to tell you this: whenever I speak to a class or something, this will always come up, and they always ask me, "What's your favorite sport?" Without hesitation, I always say cross country. You know what time they're going to start. You know where they're going to start from. You know where they're going to finish. You know pretty much how much it's going to take at least. The only, most all of them are very intelligent kids that are able to talk, which is always a bonus. The only thing you want to make sure you watch your shoes for a little bit right after the race. So, but other than that, so that's always been my answer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there I'm asking you this kind of like asking Bordewick to tell me about his favorite players, but is there some favorite stories, some favorite, things that you've covered that stand out?
And I don't know why this stands out, but we're covering a game, Shawnee Heights at Junction City. Junction City was really good in those days, had several Division I players.
Is basketball?
Yeah. And a guy, it might have been Travis Reynolds, it might have been Quentin Buchanan, but it was one of Junction City's real studs.
Yep.
He gets the ball, it's a breakaway. Gary Woodland steps in front of him because, as he tells the story, the guy was going to dunk on me and I wasn't going to let him dunk on me. Whoever it was goes up and catches him with her foot right in the throat. And he went down, and I was worried about him for a while. And I think they did have to take him to the hospital, have him checked. But a couple things. One, I thought the game was over. I mean, Shawnee Heights was going to lose that game. And that showed me the guts that he had to step in and take that, because he didn't need to take that.
Yeah, Buchanan was different, man. He was like 6'7". He played at K-State.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Him and Travis Strobel.
Yep.
And that play, always remember when he was about to win the U.S. Open, some national writer called me and asked me what my favorite memory of Gary Woodland was, and I remembered that just because that showed me how much guts and determination he had. He wasn't going to let that guy dunk on him.
When it comes to advice, you've been in the biz a while. It's a different game now. In 1989, you're calling in stuff on the phone and writing, literally talking into your phone what they're going to write. Now, it's all done through, you kudos to you again, Pistol, for changing with the times. You went from typewriters then to, it's just been now into social media. What advice would you give young sports writers?
Well, first of all, I have trouble with this because, we, with our new venture that we started in January 1st, 2021, we have the capability to give several people a chance to write, a chance to get their feet wet in this business. Now, when you go to a game, you'll see 15, 20 people with cameras, but it's hard to get anybody that wants to try to write. And so I just wish people would give that a chance, because it ain't that tough. I mean, if I can do it, anybody can do it. I mean, it ain't that tough. And really, especially at the high school level, with the coaches you have and all that that bend over backwards to help you. I would love to see more people try it. And then just be yourself. I mean, just don't expect to, I think one thing that I'm proud of, I hope this is the case, I never felt that I was bigger than the game. And I think just, you're there to cover the game, but you're not the game. It's like I get mad at officials when I think they take over the game. And there's very few to do that, but some do. But you're just there for the game. You're part of the game, but you're not the game. And I would just switch, because we're losing more and more people that are willing to try to write. And I think there's a lot of opportunities out there, and I would be glad to have a couple, under my wing to try to help them as much as I could. But it's changed. You talked about 89. I actually started in 80 at Baldwin. I mean, newspapers were a big, big deal when I came here, and several of my coworkers will be there tonight. And we were good. I mean, as a staff.
Oh, for sure. Good. Yes.
We had 12 sports writers when I went there in 89. Now, basically, the Capital Journal got down to one here and one in Lawrence. And that's just kind of sad. But it's sign of the times.
Yep. All righty. Last two questions I've got for you. Very simple. If you could change something about, I don't want to say your industry, since you kind of just spoke about that, about high school sports, what would you like to change?
Well, I do. I think Keisha, and I was listening to you on the way in. I think that's great. I think this Keisha staff has really tried to make some changes.
They have.
And willing to change. There was a time when I thought Keisha was kind of against change. So I really do. I would love to see what you talked about, more state tournaments at the same site and things like that. I want to make it easier for kids to be multi-sport athletes. I went through the thing with Kendall Yarnell that wasn't able to compete at state track because of the scheduling, basically. I like that. And I'm a huge multi-sport guy. So I want us to do everything we can to encourage kids to participate in multi-sports. And look at a girl like Brooklyn DeLay. Look at Joe Otting. Both three sports. So
that's going to be my next question. I got about a minute here.
Okay.
Do you got a favorite athlete that you covered, or can't do it? Both boy and girl.
There's several that I really, really remember, but if I were to sit down and write that list, I could easily come up with 25 on both sides I love. But I will say this, Teresa Nicolay was a monster.
Yep.
In the middle. She could.
I saw that one live too,
Yeah.
back in 2002 at the KU relays,
Yeah.
and she ran 2:06.
Yeah.
That was stupid.
Yeah. And I would have, she's one, and there's several of them, but she's one that I would have paid to go see just because she was so good. And on the boys' side, you got to talk about Woodland, because Dan Woodland tells me to this day he thinks Gary's best sport was baseball.
Yeah.
So I those are, but there's several. You mentioned several of them.
Yep.
Kyle Weems, now in about his 10th year of playing pro overseas. 12th.
Yep.
Wow. So I have and another thing that I'm the most proud of, and this is a good thing to wrap up with. 44 years. This August, I'll be starting my 45th year, my 45th high school season. I've never had to pay to get into any game.
There it is. That's the best part right there.
Well, Pistol, we appreciate you coming in. I'm going to side with Joe Schrog and Ken Darting and Ken Berry and Kevin Bordewick. Thank you for accepting this, because you are a part of high school sports, telling the stories of all of these players and athletes, coaches. It's well deserved. And again, a couple people on the text line, thank you, Mr. Peterson, for what you do. You do a lot for high school sports, Pistol, and it is good that you're getting recognized. So we appreciate it and enjoy tonight, and it'll be fun to hear your speech.
Okay. Thank you very much. It's truly been my pleasure.
That is Rick Peterson. Coming up next, we'll talk a little bit about Andy Reid's aggressiveness and the summer of Fulton. Hour of Mic'd Up on this Wednesday. Thank you so much for stopping by. We appreciate it as always. Jake Von Fulton Caster with you. We got Royals baseball coming up tonight against the Guardians. The Guardians. Logan Allen versus Austin Cox. We'll talk more about the Royals coming up to finish up this edition of Mic'd Up. As always, let us know your thoughts on our text line. 272-9429. Check us out on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button. Go to on 580 in YouTube. It's so simple. It's so easy. Hit the subscribe button. You'll get all the updates, videos, all that. Also, check us out on our website, 580wibw.com. Plenty of ways to interact with us. Want to thank all the Shawnee County All inductees. Always try to get them on at this time of the year before the banquet. Chris Barnes, Kevin Bordewick, Crystal Kemp, and then Rick Peterson. So appreciate Rick coming in. He's got a busy day today. You know, he's got a banquet to prepare for tonight.
Yeah, you know, appreciate him taking his time out to chat with us on his very busy day.
But I really do believe, you know, if you want to talk about a media individual who has no ego, it is Rick Peterson. Like, you look at the guys like the Skip Baylesses and the Stephen A's and you know, those big time folks who, you know, oh, I'm covering the big time deal, I'm on all that. They got egos that wouldn't even fit in this room. And there's Rick Peterson, who, you want to talk about a guy who just loves to report on prep sports. And I there's something just awesome about that.
Yeah.
And he does a terrific job, and he's still doing it at the age that he's doing it and going to get ready for his 45th year. And there's not a lot of high school coverage. There really isn't anymore. And that's why we try to talk about the high school side of things. We try to do as much as we can, because Topeka's it's a unique size. We're not super small where, you know, the high school is the biggest draw in the area. You're an hour away from the best football team right now in the world.
Yeah.
You're an hour away from the worst baseball team in the world. I mean,
second worst.
But you're an hour away from one of 32 teams.
Yeah.
You are 30 minutes away from the greatest potentially basketball program in college history. You're 45 to an hour away from another Division I institution.
Yeah. It's got some pretty good success in its history.
And so high school sometimes gets lost in the shuffle. Yeah. You're not Kansas City, where they don't give a you know what about high school sports.
Yeah,
they don't.
Topeka's in just such an interesting spot.
Yes,
because we're so close to a lot of non-high school things, but we're also not so close or not so big that we completely disregard the high school things going on. So it truly is. It's a very weird balance that is struck here in Topeka, in the capital city. And thanks to people like Rick, we get that it is covered and taken care of better than other places.
And that's the reason why Rick Peterson deserves to go into the Shawnee County Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
I'm as the contributor, you know. That's what, you know.
Listen, every Hall of Fame in existence, for the most part, athletic Hall of Fame, I'll put that qualifier on it. Every athletic Hall of Fame has contributor wings.
Yeah. Just like, you know,
that's what I tell Pistol. Like, sure, you weren't an athlete. I mean, the NBA has head coaches that go in, referees that go in. You know, baseball puts commissioners in as contributors and stuff like that. All the leagues put contributors in.
I'm going to tell you this right now. You know, like the Washburn Hall of Fame. If Gene Castle's not in the Washburn Hall of Fame, just burn it down. Whenever they decide,
I'm sure Gene would appreciate you willing to burn it down.
Burn it down, damn it! Burn it down.
I am sure Gene appreciates you willing to burn it down for him.
I will light the match, figuratively, not literally, because then I'd go to jail.
Not commit.
No, but like
arson.
those are the people that help move the sport where it's at. What Gene has done now, granted, Gene's still obviously there and all that kind of stuff, but the day he retires, the next year he should go into the Washburn Hall of Fame, just like Ron McHenry did. What he does for Washburn athletics is very similar to what Rick Peterson has done for high school prep sports.
Sports are about the athletes and the coaches, but they're also about the people that help the leagues and the growth of the institutions. So it includes people like Rick.
I think that's awesome, and I'm glad he's going in. He deserves to go in. So
took a little assist from Kevin Borderwick, telling him, "Don't be stupid."
Yeah, good. That and
good. Thank you, Kevin.
And Ken Berry and Joe Schrog and Ken Darting, who all in their own way would tell him, "Don't be stupid." So it works out great. So if you missed any of that, you can go to our website, 580wibw.com. Very simple, very easy. Do want to get to this. And this is an interesting takeaway that I think there needs to be some context to this. Love Warren Sharp is Sharp Football. We've used some of his breakdowns a lot on this show. And he tweets this out. He says, lots of games are decided right here. 3rd and 4th down conversions in field goal range. What this means is how aggressive you are in what you decide to do. We are in an era now, just really recently, and I would say COVID kind of started it, but with the analytics and the numbers and the info that you have on 4th down, what do you do on 4th down? What do you do on 3rd down? And then do you go for it or do you kick the field goal? 4th and goal from the 1 yard line. What do you do? 4th and goal from the 8 yard line. What do you do? 4th and 4 from the 10 yard line. What do you do? A lot of this, to me, is such a case-by-case basis. It's not just plug in the numbers. And that's the reason why I'm not super whatever the numbers say do. Okay? Especially this broad range. Now, you can break it down individually, and that's what the respective analytic groups of each team does. So what this graph tells you here is it is 3rd and 4th down conversions inside field goal range. And they say inside the opponent's 35-yard line. And the reason why they say that is it's a 52-yard field goal at the 35-yard line.
Most teams at that point,
can make a 52-yard field goal. And it depends so much on the team. All these numbers here are just simply numbers based, okay? We don't know who's on the team.
Yep.
You don't know what the situation is during the game.
Yep. You don't know if it's, 4th and 1 late and a field goal ties, but touchdown takes the lead, or it could be first quarter, first drive, and it's 4th and 4. Like, this is just raw overall context. The only context you get is these are 3rd downs inside the 35 and 4th downs inside the 35.
And we don't know the score.
Correct.
Because
we don't know time and score, which are important factors.
You might be down by 21. Why would you kick the field goal?
No,
that seems pretty simple. So there's a lot to this, but also just simply your team. We know more than anything that the Chiefs are going to get plenty of scoring opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
We know that the Chiefs scored on 46% of their drives last year. Number one in the NFL.
Absurd number.
If you are the Chiefs, you're that damn good that you're going to score points anyways. So maybe a field goal is not terrible. Hey, we score a field goal. We know we're going to get back down there here really, really soon. So we know we're going to score more than you do. And we also know that we're going to score touchdowns. Like, we know that. The Chiefs are good for 3 touchdowns a game. They average 30 points a game. You know they're good for 3 touchdowns. So if they kick a couple field goals early, that's 6 points. We still know they're going to score 3 more touchdowns. That's 29 points. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, a part of me wants to make that very, very clear. But there is something to this. The Kansas City Chiefs, 3rd down conversions inside the 35-yard line. They converted 48% of them. That was good for technically 5th, but also you could say that you could put them down as 3rd. And the reason why I say that is Dallas converted 48% and they were 3rd. So we're talking, 48.5, 48.6. You know, we're getting into the
decimals.
The real small ones here. The Vikings were 1st at 54%.
Good for them.
Dead last. The worst team.
This is funny.
The Denver Broncos. 22%. Okay.
Boy,
So that is converting in third down.
Yep.
What about fourth down? And this is the interesting aspect of it. This is where I don't know the score. This just doesn't tell me, oh, so-and-so is super aggressive. So-and-so is just, he's full go. He's very, very aggressive. The reason why I say that is we don't know, because I would not label Andy Reid aggressive.
No.
The Chiefs only went for it 7 times inside the 35-yard line on fourth down. That's it.
Yeah.
7. They converted on 5 of them.
Good rate. 5 for 7.
5 for 7. They don't have the opportunity, because why sometimes risk it? That's why I'm not too critical in just the grand scheme of you should go for it every single time. The Chiefs are just, the more points you score, the more times that you get down there that you score, because you're eventually going to get touchdowns because you are the Chiefs, it puts a burden on the opposing team. The best team, Carolina Panthers. They
8%.
stink. They suck. They're not any good at all. Right? Now, what about the percentage of go for it? So that means relative to the rest of the NFL. All right? Who really goes for it, right? Riverboat Ron Rivera, right? Riverboat Ron, he's an aggressive-minded coach, and 4th and 5, we're going for it. No, he's not. He's actually below league average when it comes to this statistic. 24% of the time, he goes for it compared to the other, compared to the rest of the league.
24% of the time when he has a chance to go for it on fourth down inside the 35, Ron Rivera only goes for it 24% of the time.
Yes. Who's number 1?
This should surprise literally none of you.
Most people would say the Baltimore Ravens. In fact, it's not. It is the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles go for it more often than anyone. They are very, very aggressive, but they are also very good at it. And if you're telling me this will be a stat that I will be very interested in 2023, is this a stat that you can replicate? Or is this a stat like turnovers? One year you will able to get the turnover, the next year you're not. Can that be a staple, right? The Chiefs were a perfect example. One year they were awesome at forcing turnovers. 2 years later, they couldn't get a turnover. Turnovers are fickle. But this might have a little bit more staying power. So what about the Chiefs? Where does Andy Reid come in at? He comes in at 24th.
That tracks.
The Kansas City Chiefs go for it. The go for it percentage, which means the percentage of fourth downs the team went for it, 24%. That, or 22%, which is ranked 24th in the NFL. Okay. Number 2, the Detroit Lions. They went for it a bunch.
Not surprising. Dan Campbell, pretty aggressive.
But their defense was trash.
Yeah.
When you got a crap defense and you're giving up 40 a game, you got to go for it a lot. So does that mean that Dan Campbell is aggressive? No. It means Dan Campbell can look up at the scoreboard and go, it's 4th and 5. We're down by 10. We probably should go for it. Or Dan Campbell says this, wow, my defense is not eating kneecaps. We better eat more on offense, so we have to go for it more. So I don't know if this truly is just simply, wow, the Eagles are aggressive and the Lions are aggressive and, the Chiefs are not. I think you can take a lot from this. Like the Lions, oh, great, you're aggressive. Well, yeah, you're aggressive because you have to be. The Chiefs technically don't need to be that aggressive because they're scoring a lot of points. Now, I will bring this up to you. Should the Chiefs be more aggressive?
Yes.
Should they say, hey, we have a chance? I'm going to channel my inner Mitch Holtis. You got a chance to put the hammer down.
Nice.
In the first half. You can do that. It is a gamble. It is a risk, because if you do get it, if you do go for it on 4th and 3 at the 20-yard line and you get it, and now you're up 7. But to me, it's not that first score. It's the second score. The Chiefs have the football. They're up 7-0. Start second possession in the first quarter. You have the ball at the 20-yard line. It's 4th and 4. Field goal. I'm up 2 scores. Awesome. You get it. You know, you're now probably going to score a touchdown on the way to it. You know, first down, touchdown. Now you're up 14. You're up 14 with 3 quarters to go. You really only need 2 more touchdowns the rest of the way, and you're probably going to win. It puts the opposing team at such an oh crap mentality. But also, they get the stop. It's still 7-0. They have a chance to tie the game. I'm not saying, you know, everybody's like, be more aggressive, be more aggressive. You got to look at the opposite side of it too. I am on I will judge it by to me, every one of them is different. They're like snowflakes. Every one of them is different. I think there's so much going on. What's the weather like? Who is the opponent? Are you home? Are you away? How is your team playing? Is the opposing defense good? Is the opposing offense good? I think so much of them are different. And there is some of that. The Chiefs can look at this and go, wow, just imagine if they were a bit more aggressive. And we know they're good at it. They went 5 of 7 inside the 35-yard line. That's 71%. Pretty damn good. 3rd overall. They were good on 3rd down. So part of me says maybe you should.
So here's the thing, and we've been trying to understand 4th downs more and everything like that as football has evolved. One, with this table and data set specifically, I would be interested in, do these percentages change at all when a team's leading or tied or ahead or all that? Because the more context you can add to a stat, the more accurate the stat is to be reflected. What I will, though, always say is this. In a general sense, NFL head coaches are way too passive. In a general sense, every coach coaches not to lose, not to win. That's a really broad buckshot generalization of it. So that's just an overall point. It's difference between each. Like Nick Sirianni doesn't fall into that because Nick Sirianni was so aggressive this last year, always trying to maximize it. That is partly due to the type of offense he had and what they learned, because the Eagles were so good at quarterback sneaks. Like that's the Eagles thing. Dan Campbell, I will say, like Dan Campbell's 4th down numbers is a part of probably their defense isn't that great. Dan Campbell's just aggressive though. Like every interview he's done and every way he's talked about it, he learned from his time at the Saints that being aggressive on 4th downs is a good thing. So I think no matter what Detroit does, as long as Dan Campbell's at the helm, I'd like to think he stays aggressive. Here's where I go with the Chiefs. And I've said this a couple of times, and I've been very vocal about Andy Reid being a little too passive, kicking too many field goals. Every time you take the ball out of and away from Patrick Mahomes, no matter what the other result is, you are more often than not doing the other team a favor. Now, there's some context nuance. You could, in that theory, be, well, it means we're calling a run play and Pacheco runs for a 20-yard score. Well, then you've not done them a favor. But for the most part, and particularly every time you elect to go from having the ball in Mahomes' hands to the ball on Butker's foot, majority of the time, you have done the other team a favor. Now, if it's like 4th and 12, yeah, of course, kick a field goal. Like, that's stupid. But where I really look at it is 4th and 4 or less. Yeah, 3 points is nice. And I get everyone's point. Build lead, take your points, whatever. I get it. In the context of the day and age we live in, potency of offenses overall, and more importantly, who the Chiefs have under center. The more you put the ball in that guy's hands, you are increasing your likelihood of winning. I'm with you. I'm all here for. I evaluate every fourth down situation differently. Now, y'all have learned about me in 2 years. I'm usually lean on the side of go for the fourth down, but they are all different. I do this on my blanket point. If you kick a field goal inside the 10-yard line, you're a coward. I will never, ever bend off of that unless it's a field goal to tie or win the game with like no seconds left on the clock.
Or to go up 2 scores. If you're up by 7 and there's a minute to go.
Yeah, at that point you can kick. At that point you can kick
you
because
go up 2 scores.
Yeah, at that point go to 2 scores with like a minute left. There's very few times I'm okay with it. Overall, though, never kick inside the 10. It's cowardly. But I think there is a lot of room for Andy Reid to be more aggressive because of who he has.
All right, I'm going to ask you this. I think Andy Reid doesn't need to be as aggressive as compared to, like, to me, this is a great example. Okay. The Chiefs are a juggernaut on offense, a team that can be good on offense. And I honestly believe this is why they are where they're at. And they are the Dallas Cowboys. They don't go for it. That's a team that if you go for it, how many more opportunities are you going to win? They were virtually, basically almost dead last.
Yeah, they're 28th in the NFL.
Yes.
And no, I see. And that's the other part to this.
Just doesn't go. He needs to. That could have gotten you maybe an extra win.
Yeah.
Maybe you host a playoff game. And if you notice, Andy Reid in the playoffs tends to be a little bit more aggressive than the regular season.
Andy nuances the situations usually very well, though there are plenty of times I've had to yell out, Andy, what are you doing? Don't kick.
And a lot of it's personnel. Like, I get being, it's more, hey, we've got an excellent quarterback, so I'm going to be a little bit more conservative because we're going to be back there.
Yeah.
To me, the Steelers, one of the least aggressive teams. Mike Tomlin did not go for it a lot last year. 15% on the fourth down go for it percentage, okay? I don't know if I'd go for it either if I had Kenny Pickett as my quarterback.
And I agree. And that's where context for these teams is important. Because, for Mike Tomlin, you can only be so aggressive with a rookie quarterback who's still learning. You can only be so aggressive at that point. But, for the Dallas Cowboys specifically, let's circle back to them a little bit here. You're supposed to have the guy at quarterback in Dak Prescott. You're supposed to have a dude at wide receiver in CeeDee Lamb. And you're supposed to have a pair of good running backs in Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott. Why? And listen, I know why. It's because Mike McCarthy's not a good football coach. And I know there's a second guy, a part of the 5A sports team, who would agree with me very strongly about that. But it's like I said, it frames down to this. For so long, NFL head coaches have been coaching not to lose. It's you make losing as painless as possible. You be conservative because you go, shucks, we just had a chance. Versus because if you go for it and you don't get it, the losing is more painful because you took a gamble, didn't work. Whereas if you never take the gamble, you can play the what-if game. You don't know the results of the gamble.
To me, the number one variable in all of this is not your team. It's who you're playing.
That's also true.
That to me is
every team that plays the Chiefs should know to go to fourth down heavily because you're going to be in shootouts. We're the Chiefs
not just shootouts, but are you trying to win the game or are you trying to make it close? Because if field goals are not going to beat the Chiefs.
No, never will.
They're not going to beat the Chiefs. And
not under Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid.
And if you're not willing to put the game on the line in the first half, then you're not going to be in the game in the second half. You have got to go. You have got to go for it and try to win. I can tell if a team is trying to win or trying to keep it close. It's not going to work against the Chiefs. You have to go for it.
Coaches should coach to win the game.
Especially against
reactions of your fans be damned.
You ready for this? If you are going up against the Cardinals,
you can be a little more passive.
You can be a little more passive. I don't have to worry about it. The Chiefs against the Bengals, right? you need to be more
Yeah.
aggressive because they are going to.
They're going to score with you. They're going to be able to keep it up.
I think it's
Now-
who that you play.
Yeah.
Who you play is more important than I think who is on for you. And
That's fair.
The old adage is you should make the decision by the opposing team. Will they be happy or sad?
Yeah, will they be happy you're doing what you're doing or sad?
Yep.
And that's probably go to with the Chiefs more often than not. When they see Mahomes walk off to that sideline, they're always going to be happy.
See, I don't know about that. I just know for it goes back to if you're the good team.
Yeah.
Anytime that I see a team trot their field goal unit on, I'm happy.
Yeah.
I'm happy.
Yeah.
Because hey, they're not trying to get her done. So there's a lot
There's
of good
definitely
stuff
some
here.
nuance and
Like,
some gray there.
Yeah. Do I see
It's a good starting point for sure.
Do I see the Eagles being super aggressive? Yes,
Oh.
I do. Do I see the Lions? I can see that.
Yeah.
Does the numbers match
What you're seeing, what
you're
you were
viewing?
evaluating. And yeah, no, those were the two most aggressive teams in the NFL.
And the Chiefs last year,
Not that aggressive.
it stands out. It
Yeah.
stands out. They're really, really, they're very efficient when they go for it.
Yeah.
And and these other teams, like I'm not surprised that the Broncos. Yeah, the Broncos were terrible on third down. The Broncos were awful on fourth down. That doesn't
Yeah, 'cause
surprise
their
me
offense
at
was
all.
terrible.
Yeah, that doesn't. So
Yeah.
some that's kind of matches up. It really does. But there's so many other variables in that. It really, really is. But I enjoy that kind of discussion. I think that's fun. And that's the difference in everybody. You can see these numbers and you can interpret it either way. Sometimes I'm more of the conservative side of things because I got Patrick Mahomes. I'd be a lot more aggressive. Here's my last thing we'll get to, and we've talked a lot about this. If you're the Chargers, I'd be worried because the Chargers went for it a ton on fourth down last year, 7th in the NFL, and pretty efficient, and they still didn't win. What if they go for it a lot and are not efficient?
Yeah.
That's a problem. Coming up next, the summer of Fulton continues. Fulton continues. Fulton,
Jake,
you've expanded your horizons a lot, man.
do my best.
You've gone to the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum.
Great time.
You've gone to Board versus Brown.
Great time.
You've watched Tommy Boy.
Great time.
You've done a lot already this summer. Watched Die Hard.
It was all right.
That was good. But now you have also tried to broaden your horizons in the home world. I told you needed to watch an episode of Fixer Upper.
Yep.
And you had needed to watch an episode of Bargain Mansions with Kansas City native. So I am gonna ask you, what did we think of Fixer Upper and the the home remodeling shows? What did you think?
They're fine. I don't know if I'd ever, get super into and watch them all the time, but they're good. They're fine. I like, making things and stuff like that. So like, it tickles that part of me of, the whole, oh, how are you going to build this and turn this into that and all that. It gets to that creative center of my brain. If I've learned anything, it's that I watch this and go, man, y'all complain about some interesting stuff on these places. Cause someone was like, I think it was the Fixer Upper episode I watched. Yeah, it was definitely that. They were viewing the 3 houses and picking one and blah, blah, blah. And one of them, they looked at her like, man, this is going to take a lot of work. I don't know how it is. And I'm looking at this like, man, that is not a problem with a house at all. That place needs like maybe a fresh coat of paint and it's fine. Y'all are just too picky. And I mean, maybe as I get older and I, have the money to be more picky about things, I'll be different.
For you.
Yeah.
You are an apartment owner.
Yes. Not owner, renter.
Well, you live in an apartment.
Yes.
Do you think you'd view it differently if you had full say with what you could do?
Oh, 100%.
You think?
100%, because there'd be, and especially like, if I was looking at a place but had a budget to buy and more importantly, making a budget to renovate a little bit, I'd be picky because then I would try, be a bit more selective. So I know that opinion of mine will probably change as I get older, but no, right now I see some stuff. I'm like, no, that place is fine. You guys are just, no, there's not an issue with, why do you care that the wall height is a little off? Why is that a thing you like, that the doorway's a little narrow? So what? Figure it out. It's a very weird thing.
No, it's not weird. What this is this is a 27-year-old
That's true.
Talking.
Yeah.
Because right now,
because like you and Dan, very different opinions.
Oh yeah. Oh,
because you guys actually have houses that you're fixing up and doing things to.
Well, and it's just, I think the older you get, because right now you don't care at all about style of your apartment. You do not care what.
No, it needs to have a roof over my head and place for my stuff.
Exactly. And I think most people,
and not be fully decrepit.
And I'm the same way. Fulton, I was the same way, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I didn't need stuff hanging on my walls. All I needed was a big TV and a couch.
They make those jokes on the internet. People put up Twitch like, literally just like one recliner and a solo TV and go, guys, how can you live like this? I'm like, that is luxury. I have everything I need. I definitely, because as I get older, I'll probably transition. Yeah. But at this stage, but overall, it was a perfectly fine show. I didn't dislike my time watching it. Both are very enjoyable. I enjoyed the remodeling part of it. All the personalities were very fun, very interesting. So it was all right. We get solid like 6 out of 10.
I think a lot of it is just if you have the means, but also if you're in that phase of your life.
I would agree with that.
Because I do understand right now, like for us, we got rid of a wall in our house because our kitchen, there was a wall and then it was the living room. Well, I don't know if you know, Fulton, it's kind of nice to be in the kitchen and then see what's going on in the living room.
Listen, the open kitchen concept that has taken the world by storm is a good concept.
Yes.
It's a very good. I on this front, whenever I get older and have more control and say over a house and maybe buying one, I'm having an open kitchen. Yeah. I will tear down a wall to do that because the open kitchen is the right concept.
And that's where I think once you start one project,
Yeah, you get several going.
It's like a domino effect.
I
It
can see
really,
that.
really is. You know,
Yeah.
and when you walk in, especially when you do a remodel
Yeah.
on something, man, it's kind of like when you have a wedding. When you have a wedding, then you critique every wedding you go to. You're like, oh, Brendan's wedding, Dan's wedding. Oh, I critique the hell out of that.
I just enjoyed my time. I had a good time with both those.
For sure. I look at that and I'm like, oh, that's smart. I like that. Good idea. That over there, no, that wasn't smart at all. I don't like that. That goes against every fiber of my being. You just do that because you've gone through it. You know what they're going through, that type of thing.
That's
you
true.
know, I will judge you. Kudos, Dan and Brendan both had open bars. I'm going to tell you this right now. If I come to your wedding and you have a cash bar, I'm gonna no.
Jake, trust me, I can promise you that whatever day it does come that I eventually get married, trust me, my wedding will have an open bar.
Okay, you should,
because all weddings should have an open bar.
All of them do. Like, you know, otherwise it's just preference. You know, same thing. You know, with the remodel. And everything. All right.
Went to my buddy's wedding and had an open bar and a little fancy cocktail selection. It was nice.
All righty. Fulton.
Yes.
What are we going to have you do next?
Good question.
I got a couple ideas. Okay. Got a couple. Have you gone to the Kansas History Museum?
Probably not, unless I'm not remembering where that is.
North of I-70, near the TV, near WIW-TV, near the old movie theater?
Never been there. Nope,
okay,
haven't gone.
You can go to the Kansas Museum of History. It's off of 6th Street.
Okay.
You have to go north of I-70.
Okay.
So you can go to there.
Yeah.
Been there a couple times. Or you can go to the Evel Knievel Museum.
Okay.
That's what we're going to do next.
I will eventually go to one of those within the next week or so.
It'd be kind of hard 4th of July. You know, maybe give you a couple weeks, 2 weeks to do that. But I've been to both.
Thanks to somebody, I kind of have to take some reins here coming up at the end of the week, beginning next week.
Wait a minute here. It says it's temporarily, it's now closed for major renovations?
Which place?
The Kansas Museum of History.
Oh, man. Yes, we have a text from 75 that says Jake is closed for renovation.
What?
Sorry, Jake.
No. Really?
Yep.
I did not know that.
Close for renovation. We'll have to pull an audible on that.
Hold on a second. I just Googled it here. It's now closed for me. What's next? Repairs, remodeling, continuing work for the dimensional renovations for the exhibits expected 2024. Wow. They got like a nature trail. It's a cool spot, cool place. You will not be going there, Fulton.
No.
It's
closed for renovation.
Never assumed the museum would close in that situation. So you got the Evel Knievel Museum, or we'll come up with something else.
Okay.
All right. Coming up next, Fulton's going to talk about how excited he is to see Austin Cox pitch. tonight, and they'll be in action tomorrow. The Royals will be day game tomorrow.
Short show for us tomorrow.
Short show, 20-minute show tomorrow.
Yep.
They're going to play in the heat of the day. But the Royals are in action tonight. We've got the lineup out for the Royals. Bob Witt Jr. leading off. Salvador Perez catching, batting second. Matt Duffy is batting third, playing first base.
Let's get buck wild.
Garcia at cleanup, playing third. Melendez in right, batting fifth. Olivares is your DH at sixth. Waters in center field at seventh. Batting eighth, Samad Taylor in left. And Big Nick Lopez at second, batting ninth. Prado in a bit of a slump right now.
Which was going to happen.
Might be the reason why he's, got off day Monday, played yesterday, off day today. So he'll be back in the lineup tomorrow. So there's the reason why Prado's not at first, just getting an off day. Isbell not rushing him back. That makes sense. No issues with that. So that is the lineup. But no one really cares about the lineup. I'm just interested in Austin Cox. He's unique, and here's the reason why. One, he's been very effective in a small sample size, but also his stuff is not great, but yet he gets swing and miss.
Yep.
That's not normal.
It happens. It's a weird thing, but his fastball has, I believe, like a 46% whiff rate right now. But the numbers on it, it's not great. Not elite velocity, not elite spin, but his location's good enough and everything else. It works. And that's why I keep saying I don't think Austin Cox is a long-term starter. I don't think he has the stuff for it. But I just want to try and see what it looks like because he's been good enough in other settings and other outings. And so I'm intrigued at how this goes tonight. I'm intrigued at how long he goes and how high his pitch count can get to because they stretched him out a little bit more in his last start, his last outing.
I'm excited that he's going to start the game.
Yeah, me too. He's getting a chance to just it's your game.
Yes. When you said, I'm excited to see what he can do. Well, part of me, and the reason why is they got nobody else.
Well, and that's why, this year is about determining who you have for pitching. You have to figure out what pitchers you have in the system that could even be used. And so you need Austin Cox to make starts because you need to know if it won't work. Because there's a chance it does. There's a chance you put Austin Cox as a starter and it works. And then, boom, you found a starter. Or it does, and then it's like, all right, it didn't work. Back to the drawing board. Austin to the bullpen because we know that'll work. So I'm happy they're giving him an opportunity. So I hope it goes well tonight. But that does make tonight worth watching. Speaking of Royal starters,
he's making his first career.
This is his first big league start.
Yep.
Speaking of Royal pitchers, though, I have to bring this up. Brad Keller had a rehab start today.
Don't do this.
Have you seen what he did in his rehab start today?
No, because I don't care. He's not part of the Royals' future.
Brad Keller.
8 innings.
No.
4 innings.
No.
1 inning.
No.
3 innings.
No.
5 innings.
No.
6 innings.
Nope.
2 innings.
Nope.
I've said all of them.
You actually haven't. Brad Keller today.
3 innings.
Went a third of an inning. He gave up 2 runs on no hits. Because he threw 20 pitches. 4 were strikes.
Oh, no. But he's got the yips.
Brad Keller, and Brad Keller's not part of the future. Legitimately, if you could do anything with Brad Keller, it'd be to flip him to trade.
Not gonna happen.
No. I say this with not malice. I say these words. He does not need to be in Omaha right now. He needs to be in Arizona. They need to do to him with the Arizona Complex League.
Oh, okay.
He needs to be doing what the Blue Jays are doing to Alek Manoah. Which, boy, what happened there?
That guy was
Brad.
One of the best
I think they have the same problem right now. Their mechanics are gone. They have no mechanics. If you have no mechanics, you can't throw strikes.
Yeah, your car doesn't start.
I think that is. That was good. I think that's what's happened to Brad Keller is the mechanics are so out of whack he can't locate. He needs to go to Arizona and rebuild those. And that's a dangerous thing and something that not many can have anything. Alek Manoah's first start in Arizona, he gave up 11 runs in 2 innings. Like, yeah.
Alek Manoah. The guy who had like a sub-3 ERA last year.
Yeah. Like, it happened. That's what happens when your mechanics go. You can't do anything. It's like the yips, but not really the yips, because it's just simply you can't function. Your muscle memory's shot. That's what I think's happened to Brad Keller. And I'm not an expert. I'm not trying to say I know perfectly. I think that's what's happened to Brad Keller. He needs to go to Arizona. Like, he needs full reset of, like, we're going to break you down to the studs, rebuild your mechanics back. Wow. But yeah, that was Brad Keller today in Omaha. Angel Zerpa also pitched in a rehab outing for Omaha today. He followed Brad Keller. 4 innings, looked kind of good, had some command issues, but overall looked fine.
Yeah, boy, I looked at Alek Manoah. He had a 2.24 ERA last year.
He allowed 11 runs in the Florida Complex League in his first start down there.
Yeah. Coming up next, we will finish things off with the mic drop.
Austin Cox makes his first career start for the Royals tonight. I don't know how it's going to go. It could go incredibly, terribly bad. I'm just excited he's actually getting the opportunity. The Royals are actually doing something to figure out what they might have and are trying to figure out what pieces they have for the future. So maybe they can not be terrible within a couple of years.
Big shout out to all of the Shawnee County Hall of Fame inductees: Chris Barnes, Kevin Borderick, Crystal Kemp, and Rick Peterson. I want to thank all of them for coming on tonight. A lot of fun. The Shawnee County Sports Banquet. Congratulations to all the athletes that will be getting awards. Fall, winter, spring, boy and girl, inspirational and overall athletes. Fun to hear all of that. Fun to award those individuals for the calendar year of 2022-2023. It's a great event, and hopefully everyone enjoys that. Sellout crowd. So if you wanted to get tickets, too bad. We got Royals baseball, 580 Sports Talk. We'll talk to you tomorrow here at noon.